Chapter 3. The Basement and Barovia. Finishing their descent beneath the hidden stairwell, they found themselves in a series of earth-hewn chambers beginning with a series of crypts. Jan would lead the investigation, finding the tombs of Gustav and his wife as well as an empty chamber for young Walter. Opting to defile the tomb of Mrs. Durst, Edgar pulled back the stone slab and was assailed by a writhing mass of centipedes. After a great deal of effort, the team dispatched the horrible wriggling fiends. They then found the tombs Edgar and Saka had been looking for, the tombs for Roosevelt and Thumboldt. After interring the children's remains in their respective chambers, the group said a few words, while Pasusa played a soft tune. In the distance, they began to hear a low murmur that sounded like some kind of chanting deeper in the basement. Moving deeper into the tombs, they found themselves in a dining room. However, the bones strewn all over the chamber implies the feasting here was far fouler than anything served upstairs. Ian, sneaking toward the larder, identified something moving beneath a pile of refuse and rot. Taking his bow and getting the first strike, Ian fires a shaft into the moving creature. A Greek emerges from the pile, screeching in pain. Cooley doesn't give the creature a chance to recover, and releases an arc of lightning to pull the Greek onto the table, centered in the room. The party quickly finishes it off. The chanting grew louder as they went deeper. Heading back into a dark hallway, upon reaching an intersection in the tunnel, they hear the sickening sound of ghouls digging themselves out from the earthen ground. Being assailed from all three tunnels, Edgar transforms into a foul bear and tries to draw the full attention of the ravenous dead. With tooth and claw, bow and spells, the group fells the ghouls. Edgar, sniffing the air, hunting for the foulest of smells, leads the group down another flight of stairs, deeper into the depths. Emerging from the stairwell into a large chamber full of small alcoves, each one sporting a bizarre trinket or talisman. The chanting here was clear and loud. He is the ancient, he is the land. Over and over again. The chamber also contained a fairly steep chute that went down into a heavy iron gate. Through the bars they could see the chamber beyond. A flooded space with a great altar upon a raised section stood in the center of the chamber. Determined to breach the gate, Edgar and the group left with all their might, the great bear holding the iron portal as aloft, so his party can enter the flooded chamber. While the rest of the group began to search one wall of the chamber, swearing they heard the sound of a dog, Celine and Ian searched for a way to get beyond the wall to the barking sound they heard. Edgar made a grave mistake. He stepped upon the altar. Around him 12 shades close in around the platform, and the chanting they heard before now changed. One must die. One must die. A spirit's drawn. Ian found his way beyond a hidden wall, and Celine freed a small dog, a terrier, leashed in some sort of prison cell. Briefly, they considered that if the spirits demanded a sacrifice, the dog might suffice, but Celine and Ian refused to allow it. One must die. The chanting droned on. Deciding the spirits would not be jetting their wish this day, Edgar stepped out from the altar and off the raised platform, past the spirits. They vanished suddenly, and the chanting began again from the far side of the room, a choir of voices from a mound of writhing corpses. He is risen. Shambling out the watery alcove was a writhing, living mass of dead bodies, some still with their tattered black robes on. Cooley, Pazuzu, Ian, and Mellors begin their assault on the fallen mass, while Celine and Edgar bound into the pulsating thing, swinging with all of their might. The creature momentarily engulfs Edgar, and inside he sees a startling revelation, confirming what Cooley believed before. Walter was the heart of the thing. He was not stillborn. He was sacrificed by Mrs. Durst upon the altar, and became this thing, consuming those who had killed him. The group, having dealt significant enough damage to the creature, caused Edgar to spill out onto the floor. Feeling they were having little effect, Melis spoke inside of Edgar's mind. "Does it have a weakness?" "Water is inside," was all Edgar thought back. Celine took a major blow and was consumed. Coolly, landing a solid shot with his lightning enchanted crossbow, gave the creature some semblance of revival. He quickly determined that element was not good for them to use here. Melis unleashing volley after volley of magic missiles, Pazuzu inspiring his team with his music. The bolts from Cooley and Ian, the tooth and nail and blade of Edgar and Celine. The creature finally collapsed. The pile of corpses becoming inert, the group scrambled to find Walter. Discovering his corpse, they collected the small bundle and carried him to his crypt, where they were finally able to put him to rest with his brother and sister. Denied came the screaming spirits. Smelling smoke, they hurried up the staircase to find the attic beginning to collect smoke. The house was burning around them. Rushing toward the doorway into the attic hole, Leonore felt the incoming blow, and he saw or heard it. Tucking into a roll, he dodged past the blades that were slicing the air in the doorway. Examining the mechanics in the frame, he jammed his blade into the door frame, causing the blades to grind to a halt, and let the party out into the hole. Clearing a few more of these bladed doorways on the way down, the group made it to the bottom floor, where they could feel the smoke beginning to clog their lungs. Dashing for the front door, they burst from the threshold and out into the foggy night air. They could see that the house was now engulfed in flames, creeping up the building to the higher floors. A few of them spotted on the uppermost window of the home the 3 children, Walter being carried by Rose. The children waved at them, seemingly at peace. Weary, the group stumbled through the streets of the town, seeing very few occupied homes, and the ones that were slammed their windows and doors. After wandering the dim foggy night, the group finally stumbled upon a creaking sign that read, "Blood of the Vine Inn." Entering, they found a mostly deserted inn, other than 3 patrons sharing a table, one man sitting alone with a carafe of wine, nursing his cup. And of course the innkeeper himself. Edgar got off to a rough start with the innkeeper, and was going to be overcharged for their rooms. Edgar pointed out that they were here on business from the burgomaster, but he didn't seem impressed by this. Pazuzu, however, noticed that at the mention of the burgomaster, the man sitting alone eyed them curiously, opting to buy him a drink and take it over. He introduced himself. The man explained he was Asmark, and he was the son of the burgomaster. He also confirmed their letter was a forgery, and not written by his father. He offered to pay for the rooms of the group, but he would need a favor in return. He offered the party to drink, citing it as the best thing to ever come from Barovia. The Wizard of Wine's vineyards produce the best wines. Most the party declines, with only Celine opting to sample. During their stay in the inn that night, they heard the sounds of wolves in the night. They sounded close enough to be in the town, but they could not be for sure. Leaving the next day, it was once again gloomy and overcast outside. Here they decided whether or not to head toward the burgomaster's home, and opted to go to the town's church first, figuring that given what they have seen so far, only water would be a good tool to have around. Arriving at the decrepit building, they entered to find the father of this church kneeling before an altar with a smelling sun. The priest seemed distant, and looked as though he had not slept, but here he knelt, dedicated to his prayers to the morning Lord. While trying to rouse the preacher from his prayers, a few members heard the sound of a scream, distant, muffled as if from behind a great door. Opting to detain the holy man, since he refused to answer questions about the screaming, and merely insisted that they leave, they began to search the church for the source of the sound. Finally, stumbling upon a cellar door leading down in the floor, the roof was missing from this section of the building, allowing dim light to seep through the shingles here. Before they could open the door, the priest gravely informed them that they couldn't open the door, for below was his son. Relaying the tale of one Van Richten, a monster hunter of some distinction, had shown up in Barovia, apparently trying to drum up the citizenry to rebel and rise up against Strad van Serovic. Duro, the son of Father Danovich, joined the ill-fated hunt to Castle Ravenloft, along with some 20 other souls. They were decimated by the Count, and soon after, Duro came back to his father, but he had been bitten by Strahd and turned. You see, he explained, Strahd is no ordinary despot. He is a vampire of great power, and he had sent Duro back as a vampire spawn. A lowly servant who can barely control their hunger for blood. The party, feeling as though they had crossed the line, released the priest and apologized. Citing that they would try to find a way to help his son, the priest argued that the only one who can help his son was the Morning Lord No. They left the church, and while the quality of light had not changed from that morning, they felt a dark, oppressive presence over them as they descended the step back into town, deciding to go see the Sizemark and his father and make good on their debt for their room.